Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Chad Monticue from alternative rock band Animal Scream.
Hey, finally got connected here.
A black magic wind is carried a mile. A black magic wind is left me alone. You are now this California boogeyman, and you are now coming on, kicked out back again.
I just wanted to start out a little bit by getting into some history. What got you into music?
Probably my parents' old record collections when I was pretty young. Listening to music through those records, a lot of R&B and soul music, a lot of classic rock, things like that. Listening to a lot of just radio in the car, like anybody else, really. And then going to church with my grandmother and sitting there and playing the piano and just tinkering around like that, and just sort of had a knack for melody. Always enjoyed playing the piano, and kind of started that way.
Okay. And who were some of your favorite bands?
Oh man, that's a tough question, man. I mean, I like so much music. Again, like I was really into a lot of R&B and soul music from a very young age, and a lot of that just came from the kind of collection my folks had. I always liked the Beach Boys. I always liked, got older, got into the Beatles, Pink Floyd, things like that. And like anything else, what were their influence? What were turning them on? And then you started like getting into, going down those rabbit holes into other things. But yeah, I like lots of different kind of music, and but that's kind of where it started for me.
Okay. How did Animal Scream form?
Out of the necessity to just kind of unlock those songs that were in my head, and out of the need to just kind of want to get them, down on not just paper but just recorded, and not wanting to book studio time when those things happen for me. They come really fast to me, and so I think out of necessity, I kind of just jumped into working with some, uh, you know. Uh, different programs. I settled on Logic. Logic Pro was the one that I just started messing around with and started recording demos. And yeah, it was just really out of the need to just record myself instead of like having to book time or going somewhere. It just kind of became a drag. It's like I'm going to do this now. I gotta lay this stuff down now. And I like to have, you know, uh, I like to have good soundscapes of decent sketches even before I move on. I have to sort of have a really good thing down before I'm like, this isn't really. Um, but whatever works. I mean, I also set up my iPhone and play piano or, record a melody or play some guitar or something and sing it, and that works too. But I kind of wanted to go a little bit further, so that's kind of how it started.
Okay. And where did you come up with the name Animal Scream?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that it was. I mean, it's in a. I came up with it myself. I mean, I think it was really it was the name of the first song that I wrote, Animal Screams, And one of my friends, I think it was my friend Marty, was like, "Man, it's a hard name. You should call the band Animal Scream." And I was like, "Yeah, well, it's pretty hard. Like, yeah, maybe we'll do that." So it was meant to be. That's my dog barking. Yeah, it was meant to be name of the song, and ended up being also the name of the band. So yeah.
I wanted to go in a couple songs. Um, Black Magic Wind, and it's real bass guitar driven, and there's like a cool Nine Inch Nails type of drum beat at the beginning that goes with that. And it's very atmospheric and very airy. The song, like you could tell that, you know, there's a part where it everything just drops out except for the bass. Like it's not your typical structure of a song. You seem to piece and blend things together, and it just clicks. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that song, so as they sometimes do, songs sometimes come really quick to you. It was, if I remember correctly, that one, Josh and I, my production partner in the band, we were pretty far along, and dare I say, maybe a few weeks away from being done with the album Nightwalk, and I had that sitting around and sent it to him, I think, and he was like, "Man, this is really sweet. We should try." I'm like, "Oh, you like this?" Oh, yeah, and it kind of happens like that sometimes. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd dig this one or whatever," and end up going first on the record. But yeah, a lot of our songs are very minimalistic. They might sound ominous and like there's a ton going on, and certainly sometimes some songs there are, but more often than not, it's just kind of stripping away. Like that song, for example, it's a drum loop that I made, and I construct those from different things. And I, as a bass player first, I tend to write either on bass or piano a lot, and I get I'm kind of a I really like groove. I don't think that songs move well without it, and there's exceptions to everything. It's not a rule or anything, but so once I had that bass and drum kind of groove kicking, it just kind of just quickly came to me. We also do a lot of blending intentionally, and kind of think of ourselves as sort of a hybrid band, because once I have things like like that drum loop or whatever down, when we go in to finish a song, Josh will often play, excuse me, like counter rhythm drum tracks, uh, to what I've made, and I think it really adds a different kind of energy to the tracks, and it's not a hard rule or anything like that. Sometimes it's just all organic based, and it's all his drums or whatever. But more often than not, I really like the way that we blend things together, and I'll have an electronic sort of basis or foundation for a song, and then when you start adding organic elements and mashing them up, you find that things really start to sound original. And I always kind of look at it like I aspire to build things that people want to sample. I want to build lines or licks or phrases that people want to steal to like lay down a beat and rap over or whatever, or remix or remash up. That's what I really aspire to do, and I do a lot of that with blending guitars and synths together and things like that. Any kind of gnarly sounds I can create. Yeah. Sorry, that's the long-winded version of your question there.
There's another song, Strangled Up in Two, and just listening to it, it gives me like a 70s vibe crossed with like an alternative rock edge grit to it. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I got kind of borderline obsessed with a book I was reading called The Book of Strange New Things, and I don't remember even when it came out. Maybe, it's not that old. Maybe 15, 20 years ago. Maybe less. And it was a book about a missionary that, I mean, it's a science fiction novel. It's fictitious, but essentially, who's given an assignment by some sort of private NASA um, project that he has to leave his wife behind, and he has to go and off to this other planet, and he has to uh, preach the gospel to these aliens. Kind of a straightforward sci-fi premise, I suppose. But while he's there, of course, chaos ensues and things go bad for him. But he has this machine to communicate back home with his wife. And for whatever reason in the novel, like it takes a lot of time for them to communicate back and forth. So he might be sending this, like we're talking now. He's writing this thing to her, and by the time it gets back to her, 3 4 months have passed along, and of course she's perhaps moved on. He's perhaps different, and he's lonely in this place. So anyway, I was just really inspired by the story. It's a really really rad concept. I think HBO had optioned it to make it. I don't think that ever happened, but it's a really great read. And anyway, so the Heartbrook Motel essentially is about communication. I strongly believe that the breakdown of any relationships, um, you know, or why they thrive or why they break down is just communication. It's that hard and it's that simple. And so it's a song about communication, inspired by that book, the Book of Strange New Things, about wanting to sort of properly communicate said thing to said person. So.
I woke up, I'm floating, I can't even tell. It's cold and I'm sweating, I'm losing myself. And since we're connected, I thought I reached out to send you a message you won't. But I
Now, do you want to tell us about your vinyl release show?
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. It's going to be November 9th at Mr. Smalls. We've got some great artists part of it. Um, so it's Jackson Scott, Ames Harding and the Mirage, Morgan Erina, Animal Scream, and Chariot Fade. So yeah, it's a pretty fat lineup. Great artists. I'm really excited about it. Most of which I'll have a lot of new music coming out as well. So it's sort of like we will have early vinyl at that show for sure. The album's actually not coming out till early next year. So when we had planned, like anything else, you set up shows 3 4 5 months in advance. Sometimes things changes with releases, but I thought it was kind of cool to have the vinyl a little early. The EP will officially come out in early February, but we will have vinyl at the show. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like for people that like vinyl, plus they get the album early, you know?
I thought it was cool too. I had a lot of people who were like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Man, we're not like Radiohead over here. We're independent artists. We can do whatever the fuck we want, right?" So I think it's cool. I think if I'm going to see a band and I know that they're dropping something early next year and I have a chance to pick up something on vinyl like a couple months early, I think it's pretty sweet. So yeah, I'm excited about it. We just got our test releases yesterday, so I've been listening to those to proof those. They've been sounding great. So shout out to Hellbender. They always do a great job.
And this album, is this like your album, or is this like everybody that's playing there? They have songs on it too.
Oh, that's a good question. It's so it's sorry for the complicated answer in advance. But it's actually pretty simple. We did a 6-song EP. So Otherworldly Pictures is a 6-song EP. It'll appear that way on all of the streaming services. If you go to Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you want to listen to, it's 6 songs. What we did was we thought it would be a fun idea to send along the original wave files and the tracks of what makes up those 6 original songs to some producer friends of ours, and taking those initial stems. The instruction was simply just to create, your own song or an extension, or this is not like never been done before. Obviously, it's something that a lot of artists have done, and it wasn't to be heavy-handed or whatever. It was just a really fun experiment, and me and Josh love producing, and we thought it would be a fun experiment. We figured if it didn't work out, it would just be cool. I think it did work out really well. Everybody sort of blew me away by the remixes. It's been really fun listening to them. So what we did was we included those on the side B of the vinyl. So if you buy vinyl and only if you go to Bandcamp, it'll be exclusive to those formats, which again sort of gives folks an incentive to listen to the vinyl and to go on Bandcamp and find those tracks. So I think with our first single, Slow Down, next what month is it? Sorry, I'm very tired. Yeah, next month we'll have one of those releasing, and then probably when we do the second single early next year, we'll have some more remixes on there. But they turned out really well. It was really fun, just kind of like letting my friends just kind of have a go with our music. It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like those remixes. Not 9 Inch Nails did that. It was 20 years ago with Teeth. They did something with that song.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's done it with, I think, some Bowie stuff, and I think Danger Mouse comes to mind. I mean, it's certainly been done. It's not like we approached it like, well, this has never been done. It was like I said, it was more just a fun experiment, to see how it turned out. And we are always, I think, just trying to look for different ways to entertain ourselves with in the terms of production, because I think at the end of the day, like as you get older, whatever. I mean, I've been making music for a long time. We're studio rats. We really like getting in there and spending. I mean, for me to spend 5, 6, 7, 8, or even more recording or messing with beats is intoxicating to me. I mean, obviously you have other things going on. I mean, if I have the time, when time allows, but typically if we're doing overdubs or whatever in the studio and it's time to leave, I'm like, man, we're just getting going. Like I could truly live there for a long time, and I think Josh probably feels that way too. Obviously, time pulls us away for life obligations, as it should, but I like living in that space. So it was kind of an extension of that.
So when do you know a song is finished?
I'll let you know when they're finished. No, that's a great question. It's just the process, like for me, I map it out. It starts with something I write. I send it along to Josh, and he's like, I don't know, this is all right. And then, typical to him, 3 days later, he's like, yeah, you know what, this is pretty sweet. And the next day, oh, dude, this is pretty dope. Let's work on it. I'm like, okay. So I think when we start on something, we like to. It's always easier to start on something that he's excited about, or we're both really excited about it. Hey, I think this is really good. I think this is what I'm trying to communicate. I try to not overproduce demos. I get in trouble like that sometimes, and I don't do it to intentionally overproduce them. I just do it to sort of like, well, this is what I'm thinking, and then he might say, well, you should strip it back some. You should make it raw, or we should add this or that. So I'm trying to get better at like creating more raw demos, so and so I can create a lot more songs in less time. And that's hard for me, because when you have access to just endless recording stuff in Logic, and you just have so much at your fingertips. It's just fun to experiment. So, but it's really fun to experiment together, and I look forward to that. But yeah, I think we just kind of both get to a point where we're just like, there's a danger in not finishing songs. I mean, it's really dangerous to just be, I think, too, um, you can kind of go down those rabbit holes and it gets into dangerous territory. I mean, a song can never be done. It could always sound better. It could always, but like at a certain point, you got to stop and be like, all right, next time we'll do better or whatever. But it's hard. But I don't even think I answered your question. But we just sort of both get to a point where we just think it sounds good, and I think like, all right, we agree that it's done, and only when we both agree that it's done.
Yeah, because you'll keep on adding or subtracting. And you're like, oh, that was good the last time, and
Yeah, we often mix with our friend Jake Hanner, who's a really close friend of ours, and we've been working with him for a long time, and it gives me a chance to kind of step away from the initial recordings, where I can kind of pace around the room and just listen, or I can jump on like a vocal overdub or guitar or bass or whatever it is, or piano. Josh would jump on percussive things, but it does really allow us to like just listen, and he'll often just start muting things, and then we're like, "Ooh, listen to that!" Like it's almost like a world opens up by 5 things being muted, or even just one thing. But that's kind of that's what makes music so much fun. And sometimes it is, it really is less is more. Like I said, we're a 3-piece live. We keep it pretty simple. Um, I don't know. I like keeping things as simple as possible.
what's your plans for the fall and winter?
This year we mainly we've been really busy in recording since January through um, I guess the end of August, and I think we just got these mixes masters done in September. Prior to that, we've been recording, writing, recording this EP. We were doing some stuff with some other artists that we were finishing up. We had wrapped producing a record for our friend Zach Kime, who is dropping some singles and dropping in a new album that we had produced with our friend Jake Hanner called Battery Lane. And that's coming out early next year, but he's already started dropping singles. So I think that I want to say that wrapped in like January, February. While we had started this project, so we were pretty busy most of the year doing that, and in between there we had like some shows. We have a few more this year, but the main plan was just to sort of be playing, I think, more local shows this year, and get just acclimated to just getting out there and playing shows, because we haven't had the opportunity to play a ton of shows because like everybody else, we ran into the pandemic. In the early 20s, we had a record out, we couldn't tour. We did start doing regional dates in 22, 23. Got out there. I was playing some stuff with Zach's band, as was Josh, and doing Animal Scream shows as well, and then in and out of the studio. So it keeps us really busy. But yeah, so just we have some local shows coming up for this year, and then we're going to start like setting up stuff for next year. It's kind of just a rinse repeat kind of thing. Just try to make some gnarly quality songs, get them out there, learn how to play them live, get out there, do that, have fun doing that, and try to get out in front of as many people as we can. But it's weird. I've been playing music for a long time, and I've played in a lot of different bands. But like for this project, like it's always exciting to me, because I feel like I mean we're not really that new, but it always feels pretty new to me. But I think that's a fun place to be in. I guess if it doesn't feel like that, it's not worth pursuing. But it always feels exciting, whether it's recording new music or getting out there and just playing live. So.
Yeah, and you got like a diverse sound to your band and stuff, and that's kind of like exciting too, and it's kind of like the music makes people want to dance and not just sit around and look at their phone or whatever all night.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I tend to write in different neighborhoods. I come back to back to my mom's record collection. There was a lot of disco in there. There was a lot of cigarette infused AM Gold sessions going on in those attic records, and I love all that stuff, and but I also, you know the risk of being derivative, and I don't have any aspirations of doing that. I kind of want to take influence of things that maybe sounds or feels familiar, but turn it into something new. And I think that's the challenge with any band, is finding sort of a sound that is organic and sort of true to whatever your band is. I think it's very difficult. And I'm not certainly suggesting we've arrived at that point or anything like that, but I do think that we have like a pretty strong sound for, better or worse. I think you either like us or you don't. Tend to be polarizing, but sometimes I think polarizing and ominous is kind of the aim and the sweet spot too. So
Yeah, it's like a unique sound because you're not like all the other bands copying everything and sounding exactly the same as everybody else. It sticks out.
yeah, that's a blessing and a curse in my experience. It is, but I mean, for us, this is truly it's an art rock project, man. Like I don't aim to please anybody but the band and ourselves. Truthfully, I truly just want to make really gnarly art that hopefully inspires people. Certainly, I don't want to struggle in obscurity for the rest of my life, but I do. Yeah, I think we make this stuff for us, and I think that's kind of the best art comes from that space. Truly, I mean, you want to get your stuff out there. I'd be lying to you if I said, "Oh, we don't care if anybody likes it." Of course we do, But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we like it first and foremost. Most of all.
Now, do you ever test your music out before you release it on like family members or friends?
I'm real bad about that, man. Like I get real weird about it. Like I'm definitely the guy that's like, oh, like this isn't ready. Like give you the whole like preamble. I should say I used to be like that. Now I've become a little less precious, I think, than I used to be in the past. I mean, it's a very personal thing making music, right? And I think who you share it with is, early is special. I take those things to heart. Like people recommending, like, hey, you have to watch this TV show or you have to watch this film or, oh my God, have you heard whatever record? I mean, if it's coming from somebody that's a reliable source, I'm like, I'm going home and I'm like digging into that shit. You know what I mean? Because it's coming from someone that's like, his opinion that I respect. So, yeah, I tend to be a little precious about those things, but yeah, certainly we definitely get feedback, and you get all kind of feedback, but I find if you get too much feedback, then you start second guessing yourself, So, yeah, whatever. It's not going to be the last album we make, hopefully, and it certainly won't be the last song I write. So you just keep doing it. You hope to keep getting better at it and whatever, and it goes round and round.
Yeah, you keep learning as you go.
Keep learning as you go, for sure. Got a lot of things to learn. It's a it's a crazy business for sure.
Um, where could we get a hold of you? Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram's really the main social that I kind of mess with. I know you had sent me something on Facebook, and I apologize for being late to responding. I don't go on there very often, and I never really liked the platform. I don't know what that says about me. I've never really liked it. I found it like it's just too much. I like the simplicity of Instagram, and somebody that just enjoys videos and film and taking pictures. Maybe that's why I just sort of hunker down on that one. But you can find us on Instagram. That's the easiest platform. I'll probably be quicker to respond to you on there.
And it's just Animal Scream?
Yeah, that's it.
Um, that's all the questions I have. Thanks for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so, man. But yeah, we have a vinyl release show November 9th, 7:30 doors at Mr. Smalls. Tickets are $12 in advance, so come on out. It's going to be a really, really great show. Really looking forward to that. Got a lot of friends playing that one, and it was nice talking with you. Thanks for having me.